Thank you for joining us with the Lope experience. This is our first episode. We're going to be talking about some questions that we have been asked by some of our viewers. So go ahead, Landon.
So we have a question here. Who was George Armstrong Custer? And the simple answer to that would be he was a national hero, as everyone knows him. But if you're not too familiar with him, he led the 7th Cavalry into the Battle of Little Bighorn. But yeah, he's just still remembered today because of his national heroism and leading the fight of Little Bighorn. Although some people like to point out his controversy for what he did to the Native Americans, pushing them out of where their natural home was. Another reason someone might recognize this man's name is some would speculate that there was more books wrote about him than any other American, besides Abraham Lincoln, obviously. And at the time, he embodied America with a young, bold, brave, confident, aggressive, independent, and fearless soul. He just really embodied America at that time. But if we're really gonna dig down, what events really led up to Custer's time in the military was, he grew up in a pretty normal home in New Rumley, Ohio, and he did grow up in a Democratic household, which really stuck with him for the rest of his lifetime. But I think what really sparked his passion for the military was his father, because he was in voluntary military groups, and when this was happening, Custer was very interested by what his father was doing, and he just had this sort of he had this view for what he was doing, and he just loved the drills and everything that was going on. Once Custer, got out of school, which, by the way, he was a great student. Once he got out of school, he tried teaching, but that didn't really work out for him. So he decided maybe he would try the military, and he applied for West Point in 1856. And when he first joined, he was a great soldier, from what I could see, and he was, and early on he was given a cadetship. And then later on he graduated in 1861, which was early. He was supposed to graduate sometime 1862, but they graduated him in 1861 to fight in the Civil War because they needed more soldiers, and his group was very on it, you could say. But while he was a great soldier, he also did face many challenges while serving for the U.S. When he did graduate, he was early on. He got promoted to be an officer, and his first day as an officer, actually, his first day, there was a fight between his men, and he didn't break up the fight, so he got sent to the court martial, and he only got put on leave for a couple days, but yeah, and then he went back to his normal standard, everything. Soon after that, he got sick for roughly 5 months.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, it was pretty terrible. It was a big downfall in his career.
Yeah.
Everything. But while he was gone, he went into the neighborhood, and he got pretty reckless and drunk, and his wife said that she wouldn't want that happening anymore. So he said that he would never do it again, and he stuck with that until he died.
I really like that part of him. He's very honest, and he sticks to what he does.
He is. He's
and
very he's a very
man of his word.
Yeah, keeps his word. Very good man. Mm-hmm. Just great American. And then he went back to war, and he fought, and then he didn't really get many injuries or anything like that. He was really good. They actually called it Custer's luck, because he seemed to never get injured, and he always won, But soon after that, he just kind of went into this depressive episode. He just had this, he there was nothing left for him.
Mhm.
The military was his life, and
Mhm.
he thought there was no purpose
Yeah.
left in living. But soon after, he went back to work.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, come back, dude.
Mhm.
But when he did come back, he was not commanding in Saigon,
No.
and he just couldn't deal with them anymore. And
Which is understandable. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's like, some of the coworkers that we have here, I don't
Yeah, I don't.
like Joe.
Yeah.
He's,
Phil.
yeah, Go. He always steals my coffee.
McDonald's this morning.
Anyway, but so he didn't really like his men, as I've already stated. But when they disobeyed, since he didn't like them, he just took it to the next level. And this is where he kind of, he was a great man, but he just kind of got out of control. He would shave them. He whipped
Oh,
a couple of his men, actually. Did you hear about that?
I think it might have.
Yeah, it was going around for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they let this out, but I'm going to tell you. He actually ended up killing a man.
Oh,
Yeah.
how'd you do that?
I don't remember.
Okay.
But he ended up killing a man. It
So-
was bad. It was bad.
Was there any consequences for that? Act?
Yeah. He got in trouble for that one.
Mhm.
Very big trouble.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
You're not gonna let anybody get off that kind of activity.
Yeah, you just can't. But soon after this, he became close friends with Andrew Johnson.
Andrew Johnson, really?
I know, it's such a shocker. I could see it. They're both Democratic, all that.
It's okay.
But Andrew Johnson was a very controversial person.
Yeah, yeah.
Super controversial, and not a lot of people like him. And because of that, since him and Custer were so close,
Yeah.
Custer's popularity as a hero,
Mm-hmm.
just went down.
Oh yeah, spiral.
It was bad.
Yep.
It was bad. I remember that.
Yeah. That was a pretty big event.
I remember reading that in the paper.
Mhm.
But some of this controversy that came with Custer, like his whole Native American and the racial debate, that was going on at the time.
That's not bad.
He got in a fight with the Native Americans,
Oh.
and so people saw that as him just helping the whites.
Okay.
But the South,
Mm.
they liked that. Although Custer was a Northern,
Yeah.
the South liked that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was their stance on stuff.
That was their stance on stuff. So I get it. But I mean, along with that, just the men he was commanding, not even the ones that he was torturing, pretty much torturing.
Yeah.
You gotta admit that.
See what you mean.
But not even those men, but the men after that, they heard about what he was doing, right?
Mhm.
And they hated him for that because they were so scared that it was gonna happen.
Right.
But soon after that, he was marching and he was thinking one day, as a man does, and
Mhm.
he thought he just missed his wife,
Yeah.
I mean it happens. It happens to the best of us, But he took it a little too far. He had his men, him and his men just marched all the way to what fort was that? I forgot the fort.
Yeah. It was right there on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, but yeah, he marched all the way there, and they took a train to see his wife. But on the way there, I don't know if they told on this, but a couple of his men actually ended up dying
No.
marching on the way there. So,
Like from extreme conditions or dehydration. What was that about? They just dropped dead.
I think it said something about dehydration.
Okay.
Just he left a couple men behind.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's not.
not very leadership
It's
like.
pretty good. Yeah.
And this is just the downfall of Custer's career right here.
Going right down.
Because he just kept making these bad, terrible orders, as we just gave an example of. And he ended up getting how would I say that? He ended up getting put on leave for a year. He wasn't allowed to be in the military for a year because of that.
Yeah.
And then sorry, that was a bug. And then, what he's most known for, the little bighorn. He impacted that greatly.
He really did.
Yeah.
That was,
I mean, he led that fight, so.
yeah, I idolize him for that.
Yeah, I mean, he was just an American idolization.
Yeah. He's up there with the greatest. Like, he's up there with old
Washington,
George,
old Abe.
Honestly, Elvis. You know,
Elvis, yeah.
it's up there. American heroes.
Again, Helen.
Yeah.
Anyways, but on the site of Little Bighorn, as we know it, Custer, he brought his 7th Cavalry, which consisted of roughly 600 men, right? Give or take. And this all happened on June 26th. What year was that? 1876? Right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
A couple years before that railroad. What? I don't. Just continue.
Yeah.
There's a railroad around that time that
Around that time.
sprung up.
Yeah, we can get to that later.
If it, yeah.
And then they were intruding this base, which was what's his name? Chief Black Kettle.
Yeah, I heard about him.
And it consisted. There was a bunch of crazy horse, warriors, Sitting Bull warriors, Gal warriors, just a bunch of other, they were. It was so weird because they were so like concentrated for being separate tribes, you know. But, I mean, there was roughly I'm pretty sure they said 6,000 Indians.
Indian.
Yeah. And 2,000 of which were warriors.
Yeah.
So pretty outnumbered, 600 to 2,000. I mean, Custer just never thought he'd lose.
Yeah.
You know, the American spirit. But mid-afternoon, Custer decided to advance further, and he took 225 of his men up the east side, and the other ones went with separate groups at the west. And he charged in, right? And when he did this, none of his men left. None of them. And the Indians completely wiped out Custer's men. And then they went
just
on
like the plague.
Yeah, it was terrible, and so sad. And Custer, he lasted quite a while, and him and his men went up this hill right here, you know, and he just he got wiped out. It was bad. They found him. You know how they found him?
How did they find him?
They found him scalped.
Scalped.
And he had a bullet through his left temple, and then through the abdomen. Either of which could have killed him, but we don't really know. And then it's said that 2 Cheyenne women, they found his dead body, and they pierced his eardrums with crochet needles, because later it's said that he should have listened.
That's a deep meaning right there.
It is, because earlier his life, he really really connected with them. And
Just Cheerio.
I saw that.
Okay.
Phil.
Yeah.
Phil's always getting snacks.
I know.
Sorry, Phil. But yeah, they wiped out his men. They took his clothes even. They took all of his clothes. And
they could have used it. I mean, they are Native Americans. They could do a lot of colors. They're very colorful people.
And but there was a horse left behind him. They took that, and he lived for a while. And he was actually in the 7th Cavalry parades soon after that. And then he ended up dying because of his injuries and such. But yeah, it was just, you know. But that's what he is most known for, is the Battle of Little Bighorn and the impact that he just had on America, which was absolutely major.
Yeah, it was big.
Anyways, but back to the controversy. His impact on Native Americans and such.
Yeah.
I mean, as we were talking about, he destroyed that village. He
Pillaged.
like several other villages. He burnt a couple down
Yeah.
with his men, which I mean, that's pretty controversial. Some people have their takes on it. I mean, we were conquering America at the time, so
Yeah. Just on top.
yeah, we. There were secret hunting grounds for the Sioux,
Yeah.
and he was doing a patrol there,
Mm-hmm.
and he found gold,
Okay.
and so it was sacred, so the Americans couldn't go in it, but he started a gold rush, and that was against their treaty. So he did break treaties and such,
It did break.
and he was actually known for stealing supplies from these Indians.
Okay.
But yeah, he just broke trees all the time, and yeah. But these, I'm pretty sure it was the Cheyenne or the Sioux that went to attack that train. I think
No.
it was the
Sioux?
I think it was the Sioux.
I think it was the Sioux.
I think we think it's the Sioux.
Yeah, if
We're
it's not, you can correct us in the comments. Or yeah,
Send
you
us
could
an
send us a,
email or
a
something.
letter, Pony Express.
Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah.
So that reminds me of something that I wanted to, touch on.
Oh yeah. You could. I mean, we pretty much wrapped up. Custer.
Wrapped up Custer. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you want to add anything, go ahead right now.
I will.
All right. So, with that railway, I know a lot about that railway.
Really?
Yeah. Actually, it wasn't that railway.
Oh, was
Now that I
it?
think about it, it wasn't that railway.
Which one was it?
Okay, it was
Because I think that was
So-
the Pacific. I think this was the Pacific.
Pacific Company, which is a competitor with the Great Northern.
Oh, you're right.
The Great Northern. So the
That's
Pacific
pretty
came
interesting.
before.
Yeah.
Pacific came before. In, don't quote me, but I'd say 1860s. I think is when they started sprouting. I'm not sure. Somewhere around that era time.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And but so what I wanted to touch on that was a very significant thing to me
Yeah.
was the Great Northern Railway, which was founded by James J. Hill in the year 1879. So 3 years after that.
Was it 1870?
It was 1879.
Really?
Yeah, it was. And
I mean, he's a pretty cool dude. I've met him.
yeah, I did do a podcast with him on my previous.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Recording.
Make sure you guys
Check that out. Yeah.
check that out.
I'll put it in the description. So 3 years, 3 years after that Little Bighorn, just huge war, the Great Northern Railway sprouted in, I think it was St. Paul, Missouri. That's when it sprouted.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, somewhere over there. Or no, sorry, there is no St. Paul, Missouri. It's actually St. Paul, Minnesota.
Yeah. I was gonna
I
say.
apologize.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say.
So, it was first founded as the St. Paul, Missouri and Manitoba Railway Company in 1879 by James J. Hill and some co-workers, his business partners that he knew from his previous job in the railway industry. He is a native Canadian man, actually. I don't know if you knew
Really?
that. Yeah. He's from Manitoba, I think. Pretty sure
Yeah.
that province up
Yeah.
there somewhere.
Somewhere over there. Yeah. I
But-
heard about that.
So, some impacts that the Great Northern Railway had on the great American frontier of Montana was Glacier National Park, actually. So,
I mean, I just went there this weekend with my kids.
oh really,
Yeah. Fools and loved it.
Jimmy?
Little Sue wasn't a big fan.
Yeah.
She was like crying and stuff, and I was like,
Well, that was that grizzly that was.
yeah, we saw that, but I wasn't scared.
And you had your flintlock on you, so.
I did.
So.
I did.
Okay.
So I could have blasted away.
Yeah. Okay. So the Great Northern Railway really helped Glacier National Park just come up on the map. And this is later on, 20, 30 years later, after it was founded, because, there wasn't much traction because that Pacific was just thriving.
Yeah.
And so the Great Northern Railway really helped Glacier National Park become a popular location in the state of Montana. and so it just brought people as far as from Sweden.
Really?
Yeah.
That far, really?
All the way. Sweden.
Crazy.
They wanted to make it look like the Alps. That's the way they themed the park. They really wanted to make it look like the Alps over there in Europe.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, they are nice.
They're pretty nice. They're pretty large. So
I love those things.
yeah. But one thing, so we touched on the Glacier National Park. That's really all I wanted to say about that. After I touched on the Glacier National Park,
Just finished on that.
yeah, I just finished on that. The Marias Pass flood of 1964, so way ahead.
Wow, that is.
That's a pretty far gap. So, like, there's not much to really talk about, but this is what I chose. This is like one of my passions. I've been studying the Great Northern Railway for around 26 years coming up.
Ever since I met you in what was that? Sixth grade. I think you've been saying this since then, because I remember when I first came to your house, you had a bunch of books on it and stuff.
Model trains. Okay.
Yeah.
So the Marias Pass flood, which it's in northwest Montana, along with Glacier National Park. The Marias Pass flood in 1964 really devastated the Great Northern Railway. Really devastation, full on destruction.
Really?
There was logs, large tree parts, body parts, limbs, flying. There were just body
Remnants
parts of trees.
Yeah, remnants of tree.
Tree remnants, logs clogging up tunnels through underneath just landmass.
And that's where the water would.
The water would just. And
so it would get built up.
They would build up inside, and then so it'd be covered up, and there was bridges just being absolutely just hornswoggled. They're just getting taken down.
That's crazy, dude. Wow.
I know.
Yeah, I think my grandma was talking about
Yeah,
that.
she was. I was there at that function the other weekend.
Yeah, you did pull up to the function.
I did pull up to the function. Remember the lightning bolts? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So it just destroyed tunnels and track for the Great Northern Railway, which is it was really hard for them to come back from, like financially, because
I mean, yeah.
they wanted I can't remember the exact quote that they said, but one of the things they said was it was all of the Great Northern's funds, all of their cash was just dumped in, millions of dollars dumped into the 1964 flood of the Marias.
Yeah.
So all that happened. So let's jump back. Let's get in the DeLorean and head back 60 years. Okay. 60 years. So the Great. What?
What do you want? No, I don't have your Cheerios. Sorry, Phil.
Yeah, no, Phil. Gosh. So the Great Northern Railway really impacted. I wouldn't say really impacted. It was a slight impact that it made, but it put Kalispell on the map.
Yeah.
The town of Kalispell. South of Whitefish, near Glacier National Park, really nice tourist area nowadays.
Nowadays, I mean, back when I was a little, it wasn't very much of a popular area.
People didn't really.
Now people are just coming.
They're flooding in. So the Great Northern Railway impacted Kalispell by it was 1892 to 1904, so 60 years before the Marias Pass. Kalispell was a division point on the Great Northern main line to the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
That direction. So that was the thing that it really that I kind of wanted to touch on. Nothing too extreme there, but so what I wanted to really finish on was just like I already touched on it in the past. So
Yeah.
like the Glacier National Park thing, but I just really wanted to let it be known that it really impacted, just really impacted Glacier National Park, and it just flooded money.
It did.
It flooded money into the Glacier National Park, that beautiful national park is
So much
nestled in. But that's really all I really wanted to touch on. So
Is that what we have for today?
yeah, it is.
So that's all we have. So